All right, let's pick up where we left off. We were working on the bottom of page 16 in our 6.8 notes. These are our last three problems in chapter 6, and then we can say bye-bye after the test, that is. Just in case I forget to tell you, tomorrow's posts, videos, will be the practice test worked out using videos just like this. Since we don't have time to do questions and answers in class, I just thought I would work the practice test out for you so that you could check it. And if there's any that you didn't understand, you can look them up. So make sure you work it on your own first, because one, I'm not going to be collecting the practice test now, obviously, if I'm giving you all the answers. So you shouldn't just do it just to get it done. You should make sure you do it first on your own and then go into the videos. And on each of the videos, I'll tell which numbers are on that video. So if you don't want to watch, all four of the videos for the practice test, you just want a certain number, you can click on the video that has that number on it. But I will have those all worked out for you, and that will kind of be our review for the test. Okay, so we had simplified this problem to 4 plus 3i and 2 minus 2i, and then we said the problem here is we can't have i's in the denominator. So in order to get rid of an I in the denominator, we have to multiply by the conjugate, and the conjugate of 2 minus 2i is 2 plus 2i. And whatever we do to the numerator, we have to do the same thing to the denominator. And just like on the previous problem, because the numerators are not conjugates, they have to do the full FOIL process. But because the denominators are conjugates, we purposely made them conjugates, we can just do F and L there. So from first, we get 8. From outer, we get plus 8i. From inner, we get plus 6i. And from last, we get plus 6i squared. So don't forget that squared. So first is 8, outer plus 8i, inner plus 6i, and last positive 6i squared. And we'll simplify that in a moment. Let's go ahead and do the F and L in the denominator. See how I told you it's so important to know how to do FOIL from up above? So we do it over and over in these problems. So because they're conjugates, we just do F, 4, and L, negative 4i squared. And then just like before, we have to immediately change the I squares to negative 1. And remember, these are multiplication problems. So 6 times I squared now becomes 6 times negative 1. Likewise, this is negative 4 times negative 1. So that's going to turn into positive 4. And this is going to turn into negative 6. So our new numerator now is going to be 8. Let's go ahead and combine these like terms. Plus 14i. And then here 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. And in the denominator, we're going to have 4. And negative 4 times negative 1 is plus 4. So then we have like terms to combine up here. 8 minus 6 is 2 plus 14i. And remember, keep them in standard form. Real part first, imaginary part second. And then in the denominator, we have 8. And then like we did on the previous problems, remember these have to be split up into 2. So this turns into 2 eighths plus 14 eighths I. And you remember how I said because they are fractions, the final answer does have to be simplified. So here I can divide both of these by 2, and I get 1/4. And these also have a 2 in common, so I would get 7/4 I. So that would be the final simplified answer. So divide by 2, you get 1. Divide by 2, you get 4. Divide by 2, you get 7. Divide by 2, you get 4. So 1/4 plus 7/4 I. So let's do D, and then I'll have you turn off your video and work B on your own. That's the one we skipped earlier, and then you can turn it back on, and we'll have to do that one on a separate sheet of paper. I'll do it on a separate sheet too. But first, let's do D, because D's kind of like too easy. But it's kind of fun to have easy every once in a while, right? Okay, so we'll move D down here. Whoa, kind of getting off the screen, aren't I? Turn this just a little bit. Okay, so this would be 2 minus, and remember this doesn't come out as a negative, this is 4I. So it's 2 minus 4I over 8. And do you see why I said this one's too easy? Is there even an I in the denominator? No, so I'm already at this step, the last step of the problem. I have an answer up here in standard form divided by 8, so I just have to write each one separately and simplify. So 2/8 minus 4/8 I. On this one we have 2's common, but on this one we have 4 common. So to simplify, we would get 1/4 minus 1/2 I. So that would be my final answer. So both fractions are simplified. 1/4 minus 1/2 I. Okay, so shut off your video now. Try to work 5, because if you notice, I had you circle A as the test question, but A and B are just alike. So if you can do either one of them, you should be able to do the one on the test. So go ahead and shut off your video and work that, and then come back and I'll work it with you. Okay, first I'm going to transfer it over to another sheet of paper. So B, this is what, 7B, page 16. Is 5 minus I over 1 plus I. So it's just from page 16, but we're running out of space there, so we'll go ahead and do it here. So first thing I notice is that there are i's in the denominator, and I'm not allowed to have i's in the denominator, so I need to multiply both numerator and denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. That's where you're trying to get rid of the imaginary numbers. So don't do the conjugate of the numerator ever. It's the denominator that we're trying to get rid of the imaginary numbers. So multiply by the conjugate. Whatever you do in the denominator, make sure you do the exact same thing in the numerator. And then we'll get, it's kind of fun to be on a regular sheet of paper, because then I have tons of room and I can write really big. So from F, and remember this is the whole FOIL, this is FL. So from F I get 5 minus 5I minus 1I from inner, Now this one you kind of have to be careful with. So we got 5, we got the minus 5i, we got the inner minus 1i, and then here we're going to get from L positive I squared. And then in the denominator, remember, because they're conjugates, we only have to do F and L. So 1 times 1 is 1. L is going to be negative I squared. And remember our little reminder from the other page, every single time we see I squared, we have to replace it with negative 1. So I see a couple there we're going to have to replace. So this one needs to be replaced with negative 1, and this one needs to be replaced with negative 1. So our new problem is now going to be 5. Let's go ahead and combine these. Negative 5i, negative 1i is negative 6i, plus negative 1 is really just minus 1. And in the denominator, it's 1 minus negative 1. So there's a minus there, a negative there. So combining like terms, we get 5 minus 1, which is 4, and then minus 6i. And remember, order is important. Real part first, imaginary part second. This turns into a big plus sign. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So now we have to divide each of those by 2. So we have 4 over 2 minus 6 over 2i. And that turns into 2 minus 3i. Done. Ding, 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 ding. We are finished with chapter 6. So notice standard form, simplified both fractions. So that is another one you could highlight and study for the tests, because as I said, I had you highlight A, but A and B are basically the same problem. So studying either one of those would be good. The reason I like A a little bit better is because the answers did come out as a fraction, and I believe on your test they're going to come out as a fraction as well. So that's the only reason A is a tiny bit better, but both good problems. Okay, so look for your videos coming up soon for the practice test. I'll try to do those hopefully tomorrow and have them posted for you in Canvas. See you then.